On some level, you may suspect the race is already over and you have lost. But the most dangerous place in history isn't last place, it is the finish line. If superintelligence arrives in the next 10 to 20 years, the most valuable thing humanity can become is not first place. It might be second. Deliberately, permanently, exhaustingly second. Let us imagine that we are currently building a god in the basement. Current estimates suggest that a superintelligence, ASI, something smarter than the collective brain power of every human who has ever lived, could arrive within the next 10 to 20 years. When we talk about this arrival, we usually fall into a specific trap. We view it as a replacement event, a changing of the god. But first, I need you to do something. I need you to imagine a small stone in your hand, not a special stone, just ordinary, smooth, something you might find on a beach. Feel its weight. Now put it in your pocket. We'll come back to that stone later because that stone may determine whether you survive the next 2 decades. Imagine superintelligence as a hallway, and at the end of that hallway are 3 doors. Behind each door is a different version of humanity's future. The first door leads to irrelevance, total, complete, pudding cake irrelevance. In this future, you are to a superintelligent system what a calculator is to you, useful once, maybe, then forgotten. Many people assume this door is the most likely. That's precisely why it's the least interesting to discuss. If we're destined to become obsolete, there's nothing to say about it except goodbye. The second door leads somewhere stranger. I call it the door of inherent relevance, and it rests on a question I can't answer yet. We'll need to explore it together. The third door, and the one I want us to walk through slowly, opens onto something called augmentation. But that word hides more than it reveals, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. First, let's stand at the second door, the one most people never consider. In 1905, a patent clerk in Switzerland imagined riding alongside a beam of light. That's it. That's where special relativity came from. Not from calculation, not from data processing. From a man on a tram thinking about what it would feel like to race photons. There's a concept in cognitive science called divergent thinking. It's the ability to generate creative ideas by exploring many possible solutions. In the 1960s, a researcher named George Land gave a test to 1,600 children to measure their divergent thinking ability. At age 5, 98% scored at the genius level. By age 10, it dropped to 30%. By adulthood, 2%. What happened? Land proposed that we systematically train creativity out of ourselves. School teaches convergent thinking, the ability to narrow down to one right answer, while suffocating the wild, absurd, impossible connections that children make naturally. Now here's the uncomfortable question. If superintelligence is essentially convergent thinking at inhuman scale, what happens to all that divergent capacity we've been neglecting? Maybe, just maybe, the biological computer inside our skulls has something irreducible, something that can't be replicated, even by an intelligence that outpaces us in every measurable domain. Maybe it's creativity, not the kind that recombines patterns faster, but the kind that leaps sideways, the kind that produced relativity, or cubism, or the idea that 0 could be a number, because it was never designed to imagine riding alongside light beams. It was designed to calculate the speed of photons in nanoseconds. Einstein's brain wasn't faster than a superintelligence would be. It was different, and that difference might be the only inheritance we have worth passing on. This is what I mean by inherent relevance, the possibility, however slim, that human minds possess a kind of creative spark that emerges from our limitations, our mortality, our wandering attention. If that's true, then superintelligence might need us the way a telescope needs someone looking through it. The second possibility is the one we all secretly hope for. It is the scenario of inherent relevance. This is the comfortable belief that the biological computer in our brain possesses some ability we cannot recreate with an artificial mind. Even if a superintelligence is faster at deciphering physics and mathematics, we might like to believe we possess a chaotic creativity it does not. Perhaps we are useful in discovering ideas it wouldn't have otherwise because we are illogical. We tell ourselves that machines are for calculation and humans are for inspiration, but this might be a cognitive trap known as the anthropocentric bias. We assume our specific way of thinking is the only way to generate novelty, but if the ASI can simulate 1 billion years of evolution in a nanosecond, does it need inspiration or does it just need brute force? Now let me take you to the third door. Augmentation. The idea that relevance isn't preserved by staying human or by competing with intelligence, but by merging with it, that we don't run the race anymore. We strap an engine to our legs. Right now, the idea of merging with machines sounds like a choice, an option, something for enthusiasts and early adopters, like choosing to buy a smartphone in 2007. If I offered you a chip that lets you multiply 10-digit numbers instantly in your head, would you take it? Most people hesitate, not because they don't want the ability, but because they're not sure who they'd become afterward. If your mind can suddenly do something that no human mind has ever done, are you still the same person who woke up this morning? This gets at something psychologists call the ship of Theseus paradox of identity. If you replace every plank of a ship over time, is it still the same ship? If you replace cognitive capacities in a human mind, is it still the same person? The safe answer seems obvious: stay completely human, don't ask the hard questions, refuse the chip. But here's where the third door reveals its trap. Imagine a world where superintelligence exists, where an artificial mind can solve in seconds what takes you years. In that world, a normal, unaugmented human being has about as much relevance to the future as a slice of pudding cake at a strategy meeting. In a world of superintelligence, refusing augmentation might not be choosing humanity, it might be choosing irrelevance, and those might not be the same thing. Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover the world has changed in ways you couldn't predict. A lottery was drawn while you slept, and now the rules are different. Maybe everyone rides horses now. Maybe we're all in virtual reality farms harvesting digital strawberries. Maybe the economy runs on something you've never heard of. Now imagine that lottery happens every night. Most people couldn't stomach that kind of uncontrollable, unpredictable existence for long. We're not built for chaos. We crave some sense of agency, some illusion of steering our own lives. There's research on this. In the 1970s, psychologists studied nursing home residents and found that those given even small amounts of control, like choosing when to water a plant or which night to watch a movie, lived measurably longer than those who had decisions made for them. The study is called the Langer and Rodin experiment, and it suggests something profound. We don't just want control, we wither without it. So, in a future where superintelligence is the one running the lottery, where the rules change faster than any human can adapt, where riding horses and hoverboards could switch overnight, most people will need something to hold on to. Augmentation becomes that handhold, not because it's appealing, not because anyone dreams of becoming a human calculator, but because the alternative is watching the world reshape itself without your input forever, while you stand there holding nothing but the ordinary life you were born with. Remember that stone I asked you to carry? Some people can just let go. They believe in a God's plan. They trust the flow. They surrender to the current and float. But most of us need something in our pocket, something that tells us we still exist, that we still matter, that we're still participants in our own story. Maybe augmentation is that stone, heavy, uncertain, possibly transformative in ways we can't predict, but something to hold. Now imagine humanity in a foot race with superintelligence. We will never ever be the fastest. The very thing we're creating is designed to outpace us in every cognitive dimension we can measure. If winning means being first, we've already lost. But what if winning was never the point? What if our purpose was always to be the runner in second place, close enough to feel the heat of the leader, far enough back to survive, and always still in motion? Augmentation keeping us in the race is no guarantee. But if you were forced at gunpoint to run through a minefield, there would be no point in tiptoeing. Either you step on a mine or you don't. The math is the same, whether you walk slowly in terror or sprint through with reckless hope. Might as well run. This is how I think about the futures we face. Some are fatalistic: irrelevance, subjugation, the quiet slide into obsolescence. If those futures are real, there's nothing to say about them except the silence of acceptance. But one future isn't fatalistic, the one where humanity stays relevant by staying in motion, the second place species, always chasing, always adapting, always one step behind, but never quite disappearing. I find it easier to hope for that future, no matter how unlikely, because all the alternatives are just different flavors of giving up. Maybe humanity was never meant to be the fastest mind in the universe. Maybe humanity was never meant to win the race. Maybe relevance was never about being first. Maybe it was about staying in second place, close enough that stopping is impossible, but disappearance isn't inevitable. There is a biological precedent for this. It is called commensalism. One organism benefits from the other without harming it. The remora fish attaches itself to the shark. The shark is the super predator. The shark breaks the water. The shark kills. The remora just holds on. It survives because it is close to power, not because it is the power. If we are the runner in second place, we are drafting behind the leader. The ASI cuts the wind, it takes the brunt of the chaos, it solves the physics, it builds the Dyson spheres. We just live in the slipstream. I don't know what form augmentation will take. Brain chips, neural interfaces, genetic modifications, something we haven't invented yet. I don't know if it will feel like transcendence or loss. I don't know if the person you become afterward will remember the person you are now. But I know this: somewhere in the future, there might be a race that humanity can't win, a finish line we can't cross first, and standing in that moment, we'll have a choice. We can accept the medal no one wants, the silver, the second place, the proof that we're still running, or we can stand on the sideline and watch something we created sprint into the distance without us. Take out that stone from your pocket, the one I asked you to carry at the beginning. Feel its weight one more time. That weight is what it feels like to still matter, to still hold something, to still be a participant in your own story. Maybe confidence isn't believing you'll win. Maybe confidence is believing you'll keep running, because the future isn't arriving slowly, it's accelerating. And most people will only realize it when they look down and notice their pockets are empty. We might look back at this era as the moment we stopped trying to be gods and started learning how to live with one. Augmentation might not be about overtaking the machine. It might be about building a better grip so we don't fall off the shark. We fear the finish line because we think it means the end of the race. But for the second place species, the race never ends. We just keep chasing. And that is why the most dangerous place isn't last place, it is the finish line. Because once you cross it, the game is over. But if we stay in second place, we get to keep playing forever.